You're watching Q News Live. For weeks, the world has feared the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. And a few hours ago, it began. The Israeli occupation forces says the operation is limited and that it is only targeting Hezbollah. But strikes on heavily populated areas like Beirut and Ain al-Halwa refugee camp suggest otherwise. As the war rages on, the world watches on despair. Lebanon was already suffering from economic and political instability, but it now faces a momentous humanitarian crisis at the hands of the Israeli intrusion. What are the scenarios and objectives of the Israeli ground invasion of Lebanon? What does the timing mean? And what will that lead the region and the whole world to? I'm Karim Hatem. Welcome to In Depth.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين.
وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
Lebanon stands at a critical crossroads following the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, which has intensified internal power struggles within Hezbollah. The ongoing Israeli ground invasion aims to dismantle Hezbollah's military strength, further destabilizing an already precarious situation, with Iran poised to respond and the international community seeking solutions. The next few days will be vital in determining the fate of Lebanon and the broader region.
Lebanon is currently navigating perilous territory following the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, an event which has thrown Hezbollah into disarray. The death of key leaders like Fuad Shukr and Ibrahim Aqil has created a power vacuum within the organization. Potential successors like Sayyid Hisham Safiuddin and Sheikh Naim Qasim are emerging, but their capacity to unify Hezbollah remains to be seen. The ongoing Israeli ground invasion seeks to dismantle Hezbollah's military capabilities and further destabilize Lebanon. Despite recent setbacks, Hezbollah retained substantial military assets. The response strategy may involve asymmetric warfare and an increased reliance on proxy forces in the region. The international community's role will be critical moving forward. Diplomatic interventions, possibly led by France or the United States, may seek to mitigate tensions, although the effectiveness of such efforts is questionable given past failures. Going forward, Lebanon's future hinges on three factors: Hezbollah's ability to adapt, Iran's strategic calculations, and the international community's diplomatic engagement. The coming days will be crucial in shaping the region's geopolitical future.
Now, Israeli forces have crossed into southern Lebanon, marking a significant escalation in the region. Time magazine highlighted the recent Israeli escalation, mentioning that this incursion follows weeks of heavy blows by Israel against Hezbollah. The last time Israel and Hezbollah engaged in ground combat was the month-long war of 2006. In addition, the Israeli military said in a brief statement that it began a limited, localized and targeted ground raid against Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. As the fighting intensifies, Israel hasn't announced how long the operation would last, but the army says that soldiers have been training and preparing for the mission in recent months. For more information, especially on the humanitarian front, we are now joined from Beirut by May Assayer, Communication Manager for the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent for the Middle East and North Africa. Welcome. Now, Mai, what is the role of the Red Cross and Red Crescent in alleviating the suffering of civilians in Lebanon, specifically in the past few hours?
Thank you for having me, Karim. And as the Red Cross and the Red Crescent in the region, our role is to alleviate the suffering of affected population. In the case of Lebanon, the Lebanese Red Cross is on the front line, trying to support the affected population, helping in transporting the injured and providing them emergency medical services, blood services, also relief items and mattresses, especially as you know, we have 850 shelter locations where the Lebanese Red Cross is helping the authorities to respond to the imminent needs on the ground. And they are sparing no effort to make to preserve the dignity of the affected population and save their lives.
What is the scale of assistance that the Federation receives to support the Lebanese people during this time?
Yeah, as the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, since the escalation of the conflict in Gaza back in October 2023, we launched an emergency appeal. Under this appeal, we were supposed to mobilize more than 200 million Swiss francs. But so far, this appeal is only 12% funded, and this affects the response of the Red Cross, the Lebanese Red Cross in Lebanon. Recently, the IFRC has released 2 million Swiss francs under the emergency appeal to help the Lebanese Red Cross continue their, provision of eminent services and to be able to respond to the urgent needs, especially after September 15, as we have seen the situation have deteriorated dramatically.
Now, obviously, since the start of this conflict, many people have been displaced from their homes. And of course, reports have been saying that it's probably almost 1 million people have been displaced from the southern areas in Lebanon. How are we supposed to face what's coming in the next few hours? How are you going to face it, and what kind of support are you receiving for it?
Yeah, sadly, the situation is becoming worse by the minute. And if you see the bombing all over Lebanon, so people are forced to move from different areas, especially from the south, from Beirut, and go to the north and to Mount Lebanon. There is no guarantees which areas will be safe, and this put a lot of pressure on the people. We have seen people are staying in the streets during the night. There are not enough shelters. And also the humanitarian needs are growing by the minute because, those people have left their homes, and this crisis comes, it's not in isolation. We have been in Lebanon facing a protracted crisis with huge inflation and socioeconomic crisis, this impacting the whole Lebanese population. And this adds another layer to complexity to already dire situation in the country.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. That was Mai As-Saigh, Communication Manager for the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent for the Middle East and North Africa. Now, for more analysis, we are now joined by Paolo Mori, a military and strategic expert from Rome. Welcome. Mr. Mori, what are the possible invasion scenarios in the coming days? How deep do you think Israel is going to go into Lebanon?
First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation, and good afternoon. So, the primary goal, or better said, the primary target, it's to disrupt Hezbollah infrastructure in Lebanon. And it's my opinion that the secondary target for this ground operation is to establish a buffer zone inside Lebanon, some kilometers wide. This buffer zone will allow Israel to secure the north of its territory from other attacks, other further attacks and future attacks from Hezbollah. Probably there is a third target, as already said here in this transmission. There is the main target, the final target, that could be to reach Beirut.
Now, there are reports, Mr. Morey, about perhaps comparing this invasion with previous invasions. Now, we know about what happened in 2006. Analysts perhaps are saying that it could be a similar invasion. Some are saying it could be a replica, but the Israeli military said in a brief statement that it's a limited and localized and targeted ground raid. What do you say about this?
It's kind of different from 2006 operation. The wide area is the situation in the wide area is totally different. But now the IDF is their ongoing operation in Gaza. There's some kind of operation in West Bank, and I think that this operation in south of Lebanon wouldn't be the last one. Because Israel is facing the threat from Iran. Iran has proxies in Lebanon, but Iran has proxies in Syria too. So I guess that this operation that we are facing right now is just another piece of a wider program, of a wider plan of Tel Aviv. And I think that there is a big problem about this, because the IDF aren't meant to face a long conflict. They are meant just to fight in small operation, in rapid operation. So I don't think that right now the IDF are strong enough to go on with both operations in Lebanon or in Syria.
What do you think of the timing?
It's a good question. I think the timing it wasn't chosen randomly. In a week or so, there will be the anniversary of the Hamas attack. So I guess that's this choice to attack in the 1st of October in the last night. It was made to kind of give a kind of political and ideological response to that attack.
Mr. Morey, please stay with us. We are now welcoming also to this interview Ornella Soker, a political analyst from Beirut. Welcome. Now, Ornella, what are the main objectives for Israel in invading southern Lebanon at this time?
The basic issue for Israel is peace region in the ground, because in the past we saw how Nasrallah had a very hatred speech against the colonial stability there. So Netanyahu tried to maintain the peace process there and having peace impact there only. This is his ambition.
How do you think this is going to impact regionally the political and the diplomatic efforts?
Actually, according to what I heard right now, there is a huge propaganda, psychological propaganda that Netanyahu established or commit a great achievement concerning the attack on the weapons of Nasrallah. But I think there is a doubt there, because until now I didn't hear anything from Nasrallah party until now, and this is what make everything suspicious until now. But I can say that the invasion is totally start to be a turning point, because we saw how Netanyahu has achieved a triumph achievement concerning the assassinations of the leaders and Nasrallah, and until now he is on the right track. But what I can say right now is that there is a huge propaganda. We cannot claim anything for sure, but I can say that Netanyahu he's on the right track. We can be sure that this zone, the Israeli zone, that Netanyahu tried to maintain in a peaceful process, is under his domination and under his safeguard.
Well, the Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati, he said that Lebanon is ready to fully implement the UN Security Council Resolution 1701. What can we infer from that in light of the current escalation by Israel?
Well, Najib Mikati, his stance on what is going on the ground after what happened from 7 October until now and the Hezbollah assassination, I think his stance was very weak, and I cannot rely on it because he must say, or he must spoke another speech, a national, being more national in his speech, because his speech focused on the situation like it was like the past. No, there is many conditions has been changed until now. So he must say something else, but he didn't raise or to the level of the challenges. So
something
I think
else like what? Like what?
Like we have to look for how we can elect a new president here in Lebanon. We have to look how to deal with the new upcoming events in the region and the raising to the level of the new challenge inside. We cannot talk in the same speech. We cannot talk at the same speech as we talked before. We have to change everything inside. According to the challenge inside Lebanon, after all what happened in Lebanon concerning Nasrallah and his weapons and everything on the ground, the military issue. So I cannot rely on Najib Mikati's speech because he was very weak. I think that in this moment we have to focus on the military ground, who will succeed on the ground military, and after mass we have to deal with the Shia, how they will make the peace process.
Okay, Paolo, now what do you think of all this impacting the political and diplomatic discourse, especially that now we've seen statements not just from the Israeli military, but we've seen statements from the United States, we've seen statements from Najib Mikati, the Prime Minister of Lebanon. We've seen statements also from diplomats from Arab countries such as Jordan. What do you think the discourse diplomatically and politically is heading to?
I don't think there is the real willing to stop this this war. I mean, as far as I know, the U.S. were informed about this operation, and I guess that even Russia knows it, and it lacks something in as I can say from my point of view. First of all, no one really made some real effort to stop the fight started last October, and right now we can see practically the same situation. So under the diplomatic side, now we need more efforts, more engagement from the international community. In fact, even the United Nations should take some decision about this.
Well, talking about the United Nations, what role do you see the UN interim force in Lebanon playing in de-escalating the situation right now?
Certainly no. The unified forces they have they are not able to do anything about it. So this is another sign that the efforts from the United Nations must be stronger.
Okay, now, before we continue our discussion, let's take a look on the latest developments in Lebanon. You're still talking with our guest, Ornella Sokara, political analyst from Beirut, and Paolo Mori, a military and strategic expert from Rome. Now, Ornella, U.S. President Joe Biden has explicitly said that he wants a ceasefire in Lebanon, meaning that he didn't approve of Israel's invasion. What does this mean for the American support for Israel, and how does it affect the upcoming decisions by Israel?
Well, first of all, we cannot rely on stand up on what is going on, especially Israeli. U.S. support totally Israel concerning all its invasion to Lebanon or to Gaza. So I cannot rely on what they are doing on the basic speeches or diplomatic channel. But I can say that the West tried to overcome all this situation with a ceasefire, but until now everything is complicated because there is too much intervention from outside and inside, and what I'm hearing inside is not on the level of what is going on the ground, especially that the American, we cannot trust too much the American. We see what happened in Iraq, we see what happened in Gaza, so we cannot repeat the same mistakes in Lebanon, so we have to pay attention to all these
can these statements by the U.S. President and also statements from the Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary talking about the invasion of Israel into the southern territory of Lebanon, can it act as pressure for Israel during this time?
I don't think so, because all what we experience with the international community is totally different what they claimed and invade Lebanon, because Israel must have a great peace there, because the part or the situation before 7 October cannot be the same as after 7 October. So that's why I don't think there will be any solution out of expansion and invade Lebanon.
Paolo, the UN Secretary General's spokesperson has directly stated that they don't want any ground invasion to happen, and with the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Lebanon resulting in significant casualties and displacement, what specific actions should the international community prioritize to de-escalate this situation?
That's a big question. I think that the international community should, to de-escalate the situation, first to think about all the people displaced, and then have to push up the talk with all the parties involved in this conflict. Certainly, we need more pressure on Tel Aviv, and I don't think that even the US are capable to doing that, because as far as I remember, in all these months, Washington always pressed on Tel Aviv to end bombardments in Gaza, to end quickly the ground operation in Gaza, and no one listened in Tel Aviv. So I don't think that there's really something that international community can do right now.
Well, that was Paolo Mori, a military and strategic expert from Rome, and Ornella Sokar, a political analyst from Beirut. Thank you both very much for your insights. Now that brings us to the end of today's episode of In Depth. Stay tuned for more episodes on Q News. Thank you. I'm Karim Hatem. Goodbye for now.